Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of In Mind We Trust. I am here with another person called Malvika. There's two Malvikas today. I am very happy to be doing this conversation with you. Let me just introduce you to the world. Guys, she is Malvika Salkar. She has been a therapist for a very long time. I've worked with her. So she's been a colleague, but more importantly, a friend and somebody I have a lot of faith in because of her work. I've seen her work. And I think you were one of the first people I remember last year when I was doing this podcast thing with Krishna on grief. Because I've worked with her and you in the same capacity. And I think around that time I said, Malvika, we should also do something. And then I think when you saw the podcast on grief, you said, Malvika, let's do something like that. And here we are, very excited. We are both therapists. We are going to be talking about our journeys in therapy and our journeys with our clients.
And how do we spot healing? Like, what is our understanding of healing when we see that in clients?
Absolutely. I think we just discussed this topic this morning, so we've not planned, but when Malvika said, let's talk about this, I said, yes, let's do it. Okay, I want to start with a question. We've listed like 5 questions also. What has your journey been as a therapist?
Oh, it's been, now I would say when I started my private practice, I would say I fell in love with a profession once again, because when you're working as a therapist in organizations and in different capacities, it burns you out. Like you were one of the first people who were like, Malvika, what are you doing? Start private practice, you'll do well.
But you always had that spark, Malvika. Not everybody is meant to be a private practitioner. But you have that spark, you have that genuineness, honesty, skill and knowledge ka combination to hold a practice, because you need entrepreneurial skills also along with therapeutic skills, and I saw that in you. So I'm glad that you're doing private practice.
So that has been nice. It allows me to slow down and have so much agency over how my day looks like, how much I earn, and what my workload looks like on different days. So that has been great. But I'll be completing like 5 years in March of being a therapist, and I've still not fallen out of love of this profession. Beautiful. It's something that I feel like even on my worst day, I can wake up and do like a moderately decent job as a therapist. And that's what I feel like, that's something that, apart from like the whole meaningful part of it and everything, that is something I feel I really can. It's very, I mean, I guess it's rewarding, but it's something that also comes easy. And it's not to say that it is easy. It's a lot of work, reflection, supervision, and a lot of stuff. But I would rather go through this struggle than.
But you are one of the people I used to say this to. You are meant to be a therapist. So when you said easy, I know what you mean. I know you don't take it lightly or you're not complacent, but I think there is some amount of effortlessness that comes, because I also think that human to human connection, which is the core of therapy, and we should not just get lost in skills and knowledge. I think that comes naturally to you. So it looks like 5 years. 5 years. But I can completely relate when you're saying that you're still in love with the field. I also don't think I would want, I mean, I've been doing this is my 13th year. I would not want to change it for anything. And it's only gotten better with the moving towards private practice and autonomy, and when you know your client and you have complete agency over that session and that space. And like we rightly say in therapy, it's a therapeutic relationship. So it's not mechanical, or it's not just a business. It's just a beautiful relationship that then takes things forward. Okay, I want to ask you one question, which I think we all sit with in reflection as therapists. How does it feel to hold clients' journeys over the years?
And I can say now, I think because I've had some clients for a few years, so I can see that. But in the beginning, I would also talk about a little bit from the beginning how it was.
It
feels very helpless in the beginning, because you see how much the system has kind of messed up, and how much we really don't have in control. But as you see, as you get to as you go along, you see how much agency that we can have, and the clients can also have in their lives despite all of that. And कर लेते हैं यार, मतलब क्या क्या चीजों से जाते हैं लोग, and it's the therapeutic relationship, some place to come back to just reflect and just unlearn things in gentle ways. In how, what kind of magic that creates. And I'm terminating like 2 of my long-term clients now, and the way they speak about themselves, no matter, it's not like life has stopped being shit, you know, there's still a lot of things that they're going through, but the way they talk about it, there's like ho jayega yaar. Like one thing is not defining their thing.
And this is what you wanted to talk about also now, like how do we see healing in clients? It doesn't have to be these big changes कि हमने पूरा system हिला डाला, but it's these things, these nuances we see in our clients.
I'll come back to that a bit.
Yes.
To be like a witness to everything that they do, it's such a privilege, I feel, and they also trust us with that thing, and it's also our work we put in that. And also as a client also, I feel like I come back to my therapist every week, and we talk about things, and it's like I feel like, yes, it is a very like access का थोड़ा problem है इस area में, but if anyone can, like if they have the resources for it, just that is the best investment you can do for yourself.
But I do want to add something on the access part. I think fortunately, at least in our country, we do have community mental health spaces. We have toll-free helplines. We also have therapists offering at different ranges, right? And I think something we all follow, even as therapist friends, is whenever a potential client comes to us, and if they can't afford for whatever reason, we refer them to two other therapists who may work at a lower range but who are doing equally fabulous work.
Quality work.
And so I think in our own way, we are also trying to figure out how to, within the system, help with accessibility.
Even though it's not an individual problem to solve, it's a very systemic problem to solve.
Absolutely.
But we are doing a lot of work from us as individuals. But I hope in the even future there are systems also pick up that and make it easy for the people. But I think we are doing most what we can. As therapists.
Absolutely. I also wanted to share that when I asked you this question, and I'm thinking about my own journey of holding space and emotionally holding clients, I think it's such an honor.
It is.
That somebody finds the space that you and they are creating so safe to be able to share the deepest parts of your life. You know, and I think most of us ethical therapists are very confidential about our client stories. We, you know, I think it's commendable. We see their resilience. We see how much can stop them, and yet how much they emerge.
And we also can see the unique outcomes. Like, okay, but this situation a few months ago, few years ago, how they would have reacted to that, and then how they react to it now because of the healing or whatever, and it just becomes like, oh, this is like when a client just starts saying no, for example, right? Like if they've been a yes person for the longest time, and through therapy and with talking about boundaries and assertiveness, and sometimes, you know, all of this is embedded in trauma, and let's say 3 to 6 months later, you're hearing a client tell you an anecdote of, you know, so and so said this, and I was able to say no. And that's such a huge win, no? And I think it's an honor to work in this space of therapy and emotionally hold clients. I think what it does for therapists also is it leaves us with a lot of, I know a lot of us talk about how scary therapy can be for the therapist. That it's, so many times we talk about burnout and therapy, or it's draining, but I think it also leaves me with a lot of hope that the client's lives and resilience fills in us. It also at times, when sometimes I don't know, call it serendipity or whatever, but like when I am going through some life situation and I end up saying something that might actually end up working for myself and my situation also. I'm like, okay. Or a client can inspire me also in doing something.
Fully. Thank you for saying that. That's such an important point. Clients inspire therapists.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's
There's a lot that we're learning from clients also. Huh?
Absolutely.
I'm learning.
Absolutely. And sometimes I feel like they're handling that situation better than me.
Sometimes they share a life philosophy also. Like my Gen Z clients will do that. They'll give me a quote. They'll be like, I follow this, Malvika. This is my motto. And I'm like, yeah, but absolutely, you know. Or if I have said sorry in a session for coming late by 5 minutes, and they're like, why are you sorry? It's okay. And I'm like, you know, we keep talking to clients about grace and, you know, be graceful to yourself, kind to yourself, self-care. And they're giving you that. So learn that also, Malvika. Be easy on yourself.
Yeah. I have in fact learned how to be kinder to myself because you also are helping them raise standards for themselves and giving them that unconditional positive regard and all. So there are times in my life where I go like, okay, no, I think it's okay for me to hold that space, or it's okay for me to have this standard, or it's okay for me to say no and just to be a little bit kinder to myself. Why am I being? Oh, that's a mean thought. That's, you know.
Yeah.
And that also comes a lot from our work with them, but how they inspire us also.
Yeah.
But I mean, yes, there are power dynamics in like where we are somewhere superior in that space, but we try to be egalitarian as possible. At least we know, like, social justice oriented therapists and all of that, and they also don't take that for granted. We also don't take that for granted.
Yes.
So, because I'm neurodivergent and I at times I am late for the sessions and all of that.
Yeah.
So I have told my clients now, through the acceptance, and I know that they would be understanding, not because of the power dynamic, because I have also offered the same grace to them. I tell them कि after a session keep 10-15 minutes ka gap before for any other commitment. You know, I might be 5-7 minutes late here and there, but it's part of my neurodivergence. It doesn't say anything about the quality, and they also know this. But there is so much acceptance there in that space that anywhere else where it's not being met, it also feels like.
I loved what you said. Absolutely. But that brings me to my third question, okay? Very simple, on the lines of this. How does the therapy space change the therapist and change the client? And maybe here you can talk about the healing that we see in clients, but also how does it change us?
Yeah, I think a lot of my standards for myself, as I said earlier, have improved a lot. I have become more assertive as a person because it was easier for me to be assertive as a therapist, because I would be, no, but this is wrong, like you deserve this or whatever, or like what made you settle for that, or, you know, these explorations that we do with therapy with our clients. And then when we look at us in the same lens, then we also raise our standards for ourselves like that. Like sometimes my tolerance for, since being a therapist, my tolerance for some things has gone really low. Like I really can't tolerate some of the things, and it really affects me. And then that informs my boundaries with people now.
Yeah.
I have better boundaries. Yes, there are times that I get more angry about certain things than usual, because I give equal importance to all my emotions now, all experiences. But so that's how I think it has impacted me as a person. And I think for a client, I was just talking to one of my clients the other day, and like how some of the things have become the defining factors where he can bounce back a lot better from, like, not a single incident is not impacting how he thinks about himself, or like there's more to me. I'm just not what they see me as, right? You know, these small things
are core work, but
but these come from many months and years
of therapy. Absolutely.
And now it has become such this thing, and we were just like, both of us, we were just like, as he was saying it, both of us were just like smiling and laughing. We have our inside jokes about it. Healing starts with some kind of intentionality. They come with a lot of intentions, and I think it goes to then resistance, because some of the things are for them initially very difficult to sit with and be like, no, I don't think that's the thing, that's the case, or I'm not sure, whatever. There's a lot of confusion, and I say to my clients, confusion is much better than not knowing what is good for you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
What a privilege to be confused, because then you know, okay, there's something else also exists.
Absolutely.
Some other possibility for you also exists. So I think it starts with like some intentionality, resistance, confusion, and then anger. I think that is something that we look forward to, na, as therapists.
Yeah.
When is my client going to be angry
Yeah.
about this? And that's like the that's like a,
because it's such an emotion that is shunned by society, especially with women.
Yeah.
That don't be angry and don't show anger. But that's such an important catalyst for any healing.
yeah. Even men, I would
Even
say.
men, even
yeah. Most of them don't have great relationship with anger. They either suppress it
or it's too aggression. It's aggression.
too aggressive. Yeah. So and how we then go about that anger, what that anger informs us about what we are okay with, not okay with, what's unfair and fair. So then that gets then longer time gets spent into like making space for that anger and not let it become very destructive.
Yeah.
And then slowly and steadily it shows up in like I made this boundary, or like or even like I've seen this in clients. Initially they would start statements like I don't know, and then they would say something that they know and it's right that defines their experience, and eventually they stop saying I don't know. They just say they believe in what they're saying.
Absolutely.
Like small things like this. And then yeah, like, or one of the another thing I would say is like not putting all your eggs in one basket, like not having your identity just attached to one thing, like your career or your relationships or anything else. And when they start when they start seeing their having multidimensional identities and stuff like that, that's also then you also see, oh, here is multiple sources of joy and meaning is coming, and that's community, a lot of space for community. I think what therapy can't replace is community.
Yeah.
And we cannot take, we like we have to, like, as therapists it's our job, like we are not their friends. Yes, there are friendly themes to it, but we can't be there for them if they need someone to be there in physical presence. And of course we can't offer that. A community can offer that, and a lot of other things. So when they open up to community also, I feel that that's a huge healing chapter. And despite ruptures, like they might have had ruptures in community, relationship or career, but despite that they're open to having other instead of
taking
avoiding
that leap of faith, doing some repair work. I think that's absolutely. Even when I'm thinking of this, no, Malvika, I'm thinking how has therapy changed me? I mean, and to each and every client that has ever worked with me and the future ones, it helps me become more and more authentic.
Yeah.
Because I realize that I give a very lay example to people. Like if I meet somebody on the road and I say, how are you? You will say, I'm fine. Yes. And when they ask me, how are you? I'm also fine.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But it's the therapy space where that how are you is truly, there will be silence. And both, even I as a therapist will answer that with a lot of authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think when we sit and we share human suffering, stories of human suffering, human struggle and human resilience, maybe that comes along with it, you realize that a lot of what we see on social media is quite fake. It's also very linear, like relationship goals, financial goals. My life is like superb. Yeah. But in therapy, I think the space teaches me as a therapist that life it's pain, it's struggle, it's not linear, and this is real. So it helps me be very authentic in my relationships of the therapy space also, and with my friends, family, etc. To answer the second part, I think you covered it beautifully. Okay, what you see, how healing is seen in clients. If I had to just add, I feel like what I have seen is the client may come back after 1 or 2 weeks and say, we were talking about this and I realized it this week. I have that in me, like I have this strength in me, or I actually found that I could do that, and I'm like, because what you are also the client is also doing for themselves, is saying that this is my potential which I'm unleashing. It's not like some rocket science that I've had to learn maybe from therapy. It's maybe the space that's witnessing me and giving me the confidence and safety to be me.
Yeah.
And now I can say, I can do this, or I have this, or I can say no, or I was able to do this, what I thought 3 months later I couldn't do. So I think just when you hear clients give you these statements, it's beautiful. And also I think vulnerability.
Absolutely.
I think I'm absolutely.
And having confidence in being vulnerable. I think that is a huge turning point also, because before that they're just like, and when
maybe defensive. We all are as humans.
Or when initially they don't cry, and when they trust the process and they trust the space, and then they let out and they cry, and then they become used to it, and that's why the therapeutic space and relationship and alliance, like
absolutely,
how important that is. Like, that's why some clients sometimes they come and be like, we have had 4 sessions but I've not really seen any changes. It's years of life, and this just 4 hours, how can they undo that? It's the process, it's about the process. It's lesser about the outcome than more about the journey and the relationship. It's like there's barely anything in that relationship. It's just 4 sessions. I mean, of course there is some rapport and there is some safety, but it takes a really long time, and when you reach there is nothing like it.
I agree. Absolutely. I think vulnerability in sessions, and from both, I would say the therapist and the client, but largely the client, because it is the client's space. I think it just, because I think a lot of change, and I was reading something very recently, also shared on my socials, change doesn't only come from inside. Change comes from vulnerability, then becoming uncomfortable, sitting with those things, and then saying, okay, I'll try and choose and do something
because
different.
Otherwise most people are self-aware, and people come,
and then we stop there also. Many people say, now I'm aware, na ho gaya. Nahi hota hai.
It's about the execution. It's about what you're unlearning in the behavioral patterns and everything else. But and that's what you see, that that now I know, but now, or like many people come to therapy saying that I know this about myself, now I don't know, but things are still not changing. So what can be done? And that change happens in the process, in the slowness of it, in the loitering of it, in the exploration of it, where they get to really experience that, hey, if I am being this way, I'm still being seen as XYZ way also.
Absolutely.
And that cannot come through just word. That cannot just come go, oh, you should be accepted, you should feel more accepted. That just doesn't come from that. Oh, I need to hang out with people who accept me for who I am. But what is your experience of feeling that? What is how does that show up in your body? How do you know that that is the feeling you get, or that is where your body feels safe? I think that starts.
How much unpacking also is happening in therapy? I'll ask you one last question.
Okay. Oh no, last question.
There was one who put this phone on. Because I know I had one other question which. Okay. It's my second last question.
Second.
If not a therapist, what career?
I thought about this, and it's I think it would have to be something to do with humans only.
Malvika, you stole my line. I was going to say this, Soni, कि मैं कुछ भी करती but humans के साथ. I wouldn't sit behind a computer. मेरे से नहीं होता.
I can't. I really.
I would be restless behind a computer.
Like if I don't care about what is in front of me, I'm neurodivergent also. I won't be able to work if I'm not finding meaning in it. If I'm not motivated by it, if I won't be able to care about it. I will do it for 3-4 months, then I'll get burnt out. And this is something that I really care about. It's not just coming from like it is very objective also, this empathy, but I care about this. I am very passionate by this. So maybe if not this, then perhaps I think maybe like journalism or law, but something related with like social justice lens.
But I mean, for all the future clients who will work with Malvika and anybody who meets her in acquaintance also, you have a very strong social justice and a systemic perspective, and that's brilliant and the need of the hour. Even in general conversation, forget therapy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's such a thought of thing. Yeah, your plan B should have been law journalism.
Yeah. I do miss places where I can like lead teams or like, because I like to work with people in general, in offline or in team spaces also, and in one-on-one spaces also. So I don't know, I'll think something about that going ahead.
But tell me one thing, now that you're a private practitioner, do you miss working in teams?
I do.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I love being in private practice, but I miss, and especially when we were working in a team with, and so many of our friends, ex-colleagues will be watching this. It was working with a good team is something else, na?
I mean,
Stimulating, solidarity, community.
A lot of like, I think हमारा foundation and हमारा like self concept of like about our work and everything is strong because of the kind of community we had. Because someone would say something in a debrief and I would say something like, and so everybody would be like, or you would be like, "Arey kya point pakda hai?" Or like, "Oh, brilliant one."
But we'll give a shout out. This is we are referring to we were referring to Mantalks. It's an organization based in Bombay. We've referred to Mantalks even in our Men and Mental Health podcast because they run a helpline in India. But yeah, when we worked there, absolutely I miss that kind of team and also so much of learning, no, through our peers.
Cross learning and not. There was no ego. There was just like openness. Everybody just wanted to learn and like encourage each other to grow.
Yeah,
and all women. Yeah. So it was great. So for this team thing and all, I keep going back to like supervision spaces where I work with like students and all of that. And then I feel like, oh, this is nice. It feels so great, and like to work with young minds and see how they are like where I started and be like, oh, but we can't do anything, and I'm like, yes, helplessness, feel it, and we'll see where we come there. But that bit I miss.
Me too. And if there are other therapists watching, also do share with us, especially if you're in private practice, what do you do to take care of this community angle gap, right? Like, how are you managing this loss of connections? Because sometimes private practice can be isolating. Definitely bring that up in another podcast episode, how private practice can be isolating.
But just to add to that, like peer supervision is something that I keep seeking, and that also brings me, like, holds me together.
I also have therapists, like friends. I also have very many non-therapist friends because that's also important.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'll get out in just talking therapeutic language. But that, you know, a couple of therapist friends also, when you want to discuss something that's pressing or you want that kind of like discussion, those friends help. And then our peer supervision, a lot of us ex-colleagues and now very good friends are all, we talk once in a while to just take care of each other. So that's a great space. Correct. Last question. For anybody who's watching, because this was largely a therapy heavy podcast episode, for anybody who's watching and who's not gone to therapy before, anything that you and I would want to say, so you go first.
Wow, that's because I am struggling with convincing many people from my life to convincing them to go to therapy. It you're missing out on, like, I know this is very vague, but like you're missing out on knowing yourself so very intimately, you know, like you know yourself perhaps from the lens of different identities, like of a daughter, of a son, of a daughter-in-law, of a father, of a granddaughter. But beyond these identities and relationships, or of a friend, who you are, like how you reach that stage, how do you have the story that you have for yourself? Is there something that you would like to change from that story? Is there something that you would like to edit? Is there something that you would like to add that's more empowering, that's less limiting, that makes you have different hopes and more dreams? Something that perhaps you thought that this was, perhaps I could never imagine this for myself. I could never see this as a possibility. And we don't realize how much of this we have for ourselves, limiting possibilities. And when you get to see yourself or rewrite or reauthorize a different story for yourself, different narratives for yourself, you just you just unlock a different, and still the work wouldn't be done then. Like that is just the starting point, but it is a huge privilege that, I mean, I also see, I'm, this might get a bit spiritual, but we are on this earth and like we are just leaving. What if we leave this planet on the basis of like how other people only perceive us, and that becomes our perception of ourselves? Like imagine, and we don't realize how much that is our core. How largely we think of ourselves through other people's lenses. Or like, oh, I'm earning certain way, a certain amount, so this is who I am. Or I am in particular profession, this is who I am, this is my worth. If I am in a particular socioeconomic bracket, so this is my worth. You know, different things. This, oh, I'm a teacher, so I can only be this way. Oh, I'm a therapist, so I can only be this way. It's a huge loss if you're not. I feel
so beautifully put, Malvika. I don't want to say anything. I fully agree. And when you said that this part, especially, it's a privilege, I think, and that's why first of all, I don't think all of us need to be in therapy all the time. And it is a privilege because access ka baat hai. It is true. Even though you will have free helplines, etc., or therapists offering services for cheaper or pro bono, sometimes you may not have access to it because space का access नहीं है या इसका information ही नहीं है कि why mental health is important. But for those of us who go to therapy, and I believe a lot in the current lot of millennials and Gen Z, because I have so much faith in our generation and the younger ones, because I think they're giving these things importance, just not, you know, capitalism importance.
Very matter of fact way. Oh, I'm going through this. I want to get better at this. I want to, very matter.
I think
it's so beautiful.
I would say thank you for trusting therapy spaces. Thank you for encouraging your friends and family. I think it is, like she said, it's a privilege to be in therapy, but once we are in it, it really helps us get in touch with a lot of our parts of ourselves that are probably hidden from us, shadow self, helps us be more authentic and audacious. I want to say that, because that's also my personal experience with my own therapy over many years. I started and then I stopped for a bit, and then I started, and then I stopped, and a couple of years back I restarted. So I think it helps me be just Malvika. Other than like this Malvika said, other than just a daughter, a wife, a friend, what is this Malvika, right? What is she in her core? But yeah, thank you so much. This is so cool because we work together and we're doing a podcast episode together, and hopefully not our last.
I really hope so. I really wish we get to do this.
Whenever I'm in Bombay.
Please, let's.
Or whenever you're in Dubai.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do.
But let's do this more often. This is such a full circle moment for me, because she, when the job that I was working at, I was like counselor and she was a program officer there, and she was many layers above or whatever. But there was absolutely no hierarchy that we ever felt, you know, absolutely. And it's not to say it exists, even in social sector it exists, and there are therapists who really have like god complexes, savior complexes about themselves, or they feel like, oh, they are such like gods, and but there is such humanness to who you are, and that also floats in the room, and everybody absorbs that from you also.
Thank you. This is so, I'm blushing like a new bride. But thank you likewise. I think I've always enjoyed working with you, which is why I think when me and Akshay started this podcast intentionally, we wanted to bring in voices of people that are doing good work and who are, you know, good humans and who need to be heard and seen. So thank you very, very much. And we'll do this again. Thank you guys. If you have any more questions for Malvika Salkar, you all can put it on our comments on YouTube or Instagram, and we'll see you soon. Bye.